everyone, it's Missy, and today I'm going to be canning some cherry jam with my jam and jelly maker and my Ball FreshTech AutoCanner. This recipe you can either use sweet or sour cherries. Today I'm using sweet cherries. I have about 2 pounds in this bag here, which is about how many you need. And I first am going to rinse them under cool running water in a strainer and destem them. Once I have the cherries destemmed, I put them in my cherry pitter. And this is the Norpro cherry pitter. It works. It's not like the best cherry pitter in the world. But what you do is you fill up the hopper after you get it clamped to the table, and then you just press down on the plunger, and then it's supposed to pit the cherries. My issue is that the cherries get stuck in the mechanism, the depitter mechanism. It does pit the cherries, but I don't like them getting stuck in there. And let's see if I can get that out. There we go. And so it does pit them though. It's just that even if the hopper, there we go. So what the recipe book recommends is that you take a chef's knife or a kitchen shears and cut the cherries into pieces after you have pitted them, and this will help them mash a lot easier. So I'm just basically cutting them in half, and I think they said to cut them in small pieces as you can, maybe quarters, but I think half should do it with these. There we go. They are really juicy. So, and I don't have a big cutting board. But once you get those cut, then you can put them in the glass pan, or back into the glass pan, and then you can mash them with the potato masher. So the trick is that you want to mash these as well as you can to get the juices out. So once you have the cherries mashed, you should end up with 2 2/3 cups, which I have here. And next we're ready to put it in our jam and jelly maker. So I got the paddle in the pot, and then it's all set up and plugged in. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add our pectin. And I use the Real Fruit Classic Pectin. Make sure it's a pectin that you can cook with. And the recipe calls for 3 tablespoons. And what I do is I just spread it across the bottom of the pot. So that's our 3 tablespoons. Next you want to spread the cherries evenly over the bottom. Whoa. Try to get it as even as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect. Once the cherries have been added, you need to add the bottled lemon juice. The sour cherries, you don't have to do this because they're tart enough, but the sweet cherries you have to raise the acidic level so it's safe to can. In this recipe, you would want to add 2 tablespoons. And last but not least, you want to add in half a teaspoon of butter or margarine, and this helps prevent the foaming that occurs during the cooking of the jam. Then all I'm going to do is add the cover onto the unit. There we go. And then you want to select jam from your control panel. It's going to default to 21 minutes, and you're going to press enter. And you can see it's starting to stir and heat up and start cooking. Now while that is cooking, I'm going to bring you over to the AutoCanner. I have this plugged in. I have 4 jelly jars in here. I'm just going to close the lid, and then I just turn to lock it, and then on the unit I'm going to select preheat, and I'm going to select start. And in 12 minutes, our jars will be sanitized and ready to can, and they can stay in the canner for up to an hour before you have to preheat them. I also have a pot on my stove where I am sanitizing my lids for the canning process. Okay, so that was our 4-minute warning, and that just tells us to add the sugar. I'm doing the traditional recipe, so I'll be adding 3 1/3 cups sugar. So I'm just going to lift the lid off here for just a second. And then I'm just going to pour the sugar as evenly as I can over the mixture. Whoops. Sometimes it gets a little backlogged, so then it goes the other way. But it should be just fine. There we go. And now I'm just going to replace the lid. And then it's going to cook for another 17 minutes, and then we'll be ready to can. Alright, so the jam is done. So what I'm going to do is click the cancel button. And then the CO just means it's cooling off. I'm going to remove the lid. And here is our jam. I'm going to set the lid off to the side. And then what you need to do is remove the paddle. So I'm just taking a rag and I'm lifting the paddle out. Just trying to get the jam to kind of slowly slide off. There we go. And then I'm just going to put that in the sink. And then it says to skim foam, but as you can see, there's no foam. I never really do have any foam when I do that, when I use the jam jelly maker. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a jar out of my AutoCanner. And then what I'm going to do is I have my funnel. I'm using a tough, kind of a plastic ladle to scoop the jam into the jars. And you want to have about a 1/4 inch headspace. So I'm just going in. Trying to carefully. There we go. Set that off to the side. I have my little measure thing. I need to have a little more in there. I'm just gonna eyeball it. There we go. That's perfect. So then I'm gonna take my skewer. I have a wood skewer. I go around the edge and get the bubbles out. Okay. And then I take my cloth and wipe the rim off so it's clean, so we have a good seal with our lid to the jar. There we go. Oops. There. And then I'll just put a lid on. And then I have my rim. And you just want to screw it on so it's fingertip tight. And then it's ready to go in my canner, and I'll get another jar. I'll just repeat the process until all my jars are filled. Once all the jars are in the canner, you want to close the lid and make sure it's locked. And then we are going to select jams and jellies and recipe number 1. And then we press start. And in about 28 minutes, we'll have canned jars of cherry jam. If you have any questions, you can always leave me a comment below. If you're interested in any of the appliances or products that I have used during this canning video, I'll have links in the description below to the products on Amazon. And I will also have links to the recipes that I got from the Ball Canning FreshTech website. Otherwise, thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.